Hey, how you doing? Got another anime review. This week we're going over Lycoris Recoil. Now this show was a bit interesting for me. It took me a while to get into this one. I started and stopped the show probably about 3 or 4 times over like 3 or 4 weeks. It was like maybe an episode a week, if that. I would like cut myself in and out. I had some troubles getting through the show, and that's because I couldn't figure out where it was really trying to go with it. Like, it seemed like it wanted to have a plot at first, but then it started going into this little slice of life kind of a feel, and I'm not a huge slice of life fan, so when it got into that boat, I was like, ugh, do I really want to watch the show? So I was on and off with the show as I was watching it, but eventually, today, I finally actually ended up finishing the show. And I'm glad that I did, because it was a pretty fun show. It didn't do anything amazing, but it was a good show. It was a good watch. After watching enough of the show, I decided that the show, of course, fit into the category of cute girls doing gun things, which there's been a few shows like this, but this is the one for this year, this is the one for this season, and this is the one that I decided to watch. Now, the show starts off with your main character, ends up getting kicked out of some elite, girl-only, secret police force academy thing, thrown into some cafe, and then they just do cute little cafe things the first half of the show. Like I said, a little slice of lifey. Wasn't a big fan at the beginning, but eventually you start to get this connection between all the characters in the cafe, and they all have their little shticks that they do that help each other out on missions, and you have this little bonding experience with the characters, and I liked it. Some of the characters in the show had a little bit more development than the others, namely the main two characters. The other ones that were part of the cafe were interesting, but they were pretty tropey. They kind of were like, this is a hacker. What would a hacker do in a show? That's what a hacker would do, and they kind of do that. You had some cutesy things here and there that would be done, but overall it was like, yeah, this character's doing this character's doing this. But we get to the main characters, and they were pretty good. Like, we start with one of the main characters, Takana, who starts out the show being this stoic, perfectly trained, doesn't miss a shot government agent where she just, this is her life, this is all she knows, and then all of a sudden when that's stripped away from her, she doesn't know what to do. She's lost. She's trying to get back into the academy, and she can't get there, and she's completely confused their life. But then along comes Chisano, and she's really helps support her in being like, no, this isn't all there is to life. There's much more than this. And you see them develop as friends throughout the show as Chisano pulls her along and Takana learns how to be a normal person. But at the same time, Chisano is this girl that's super, bubbly and having fun with her life. But in actuality, she's got, these dark secrets and whatnot that she learns as the show goes on. And at the same time, you have Takana, who, like I said, really starts caring about her and helping her with her own issues. And I love the dynamic between the two. It felt like a little bit of a buddy cop sort of a thing where they were just complete opposites, get thrown together, but they come together in just such a beautiful, like, little mix, like peanut butter and jelly, just like that mix, perfect together. So the main two characters really, really carry this show a lot compared to some of the side characters. Like I said, maybe not as strong in the show, but overall still contributed to the good dynamic throughout the entire show. Now let's get on to the animation. We had A1 Pictures animating this show, and A1 always does a good job. Like, they've done so many shows at this point in anime, and every single time, it's just like, it's good work. It's not amazing work, but it's not shit. It's just, they do a good job. They had some parts where they had some CG in the show, and it was noticeable. It was mostly with the cars and the door to the shop. They really liked putting CG on the door. Don't do that. That was uglier than the cars. Like, cars stick out sometimes in shows, but the goddamn door? Why did we put CG on the door? What are we doing? Whatever. But besides that, yeah, it was still good. And honestly, even though I'm complaining about the CG is getting better in anime. Like, it isn't as insanely jarring as it was back in the day, and I can tell there's a noticeable improvement happening. We'll get it one of these days. Eventually, you'll get to a point where CG will be in shows, and you'll be like, was that CG? I couldn't even tell. And that's the point we're going for. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. Moving on to some of the better points in the show, we've got the music. I think all the background music throughout the show really fits in this, military sort of government agent, sort of a spy, espionage sort of a feel. You had these like dramatic, suspenseful songs that would come in at the right times. You had this nice cheery stuff when they were in the cafe. All of that was great. The intro for the show was kind of scary. I feel like I've heard that song 1,000 times before in 1,000 other anime, but at the same time, it was such a perfect fit to the show. Like, it was just like, this just makes sense to be in this show. And it was scary when I was listening to it. But that's not a bad thing. It just, It was... I can't put a word to it as to how I actually describe the intro, but a perfect fit. That's the best way I can describe this. Also, the cute little animation thing they do at the end, where they do the little butt kick thing to the girl next to her, and then Takano does it back at Chisato, and she does like a full-on like roundhouse kick. That was fun. That was cute. I like that. Outro for the show. Little much, actually. I think it was... I don't know. It was a little too piercing and a little too loud in my eyes. Or in my ears, I guess. I wish it was a little bit more reserved for an outro. Generally, I don't want it to be like this crazy in-your-face thing. I want it to be, you know, relaxing. If I don't want to watch another episode after this, I want to be, you know, chilling out. So, a little bit of a takeaway, but overall, it was still pretty good for the outro. And like I said, soundtrack overall was good for the show. I liked it. Next, we'll move on to the voice acting. Not a whole lot to talk about on this one. It was good overall. I watched some episodes dubbed, some episodes subbed. Both the dub and the sub were good. No specific standout performances, but on both ends. There was no specific really good performer, and there was none that were really bad. Just overall, good fits for everybody on all the characters. You can watch either the sub or the dub. You're going to enjoy it just as much. I always prefer watching dubs personally because I don't like having 100% of my focus on the screen at all times. Sometimes I have to look at something on my phone, yada, yada, yada. It's just a lot easier to do other things in my life while I'm watching shows. But to each their own. You can watch either and you're going to enjoy them both. So now we're going to come down to the rating on the show. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 this week. It was a bit of a come down from Cyberpunk for sure. Cyberpunk was considerably better, but you know, this was still a good show. I don't know if I would go out of my way to recommend it to people. It's like, it was a fun show, but there was definitely better shows that came out this season. But if you've already exhausted all the other shows that you've seen for the season, definitely give this one a watch. It's worth your time, just not the highest priority of shows. And with that, I've gone over about everything I want to talk about on this show, so thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.